everybody, welcome to the newest episode of The Bearded Gamer Show. Now, as always, I'm your host, The Bearded Gamer, Chris Arnone. I know I'm pretty svelte today, right? Got it all trimmed up, haircut and everything. It's kind of a small beard, but it's still pretty beardtastic. And I know you're probably watching this wondering, wait a minute, you're wearing a green shirt. How's that possible? You film in front of a green screen. The magic of technology, people. It's crazy. It's like magic. I know how it works, but I won't reveal my secrets. I'll let you guess, though, if you want. Anyway, moving on, let's get right into that good news, bad news. First up, piece of good news. I'm pretty excited about this one. PlayStation, Sony recently announced, of course, you may have heard them talk about PlayStation Allstars Battle Royale, which is sort of their take on Smash Brothers. What's going to go into a public beta in the fall. And if you're a PlayStation Plus user, like me, you're going to get early access to it. And you know what I'm thinking? Just a little piece of side news, totally Bearded Gamer Show related. Maybe some live streams of that, perhaps. In fact, my buddy Matt Ashbaugh, who I do my live streams for Dota 2 with, is a huge Smash Brothers fan. Just kicks my butt over and over again. So, it'd be good to get him in there. We'll play together. Either record some footage and play it back, or do some live streaming. It'll be awesome. It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that one come this fall. Next up, got some just straight up bad news, and there's just no other way to put this. Now, Zynga and its executives are being sued by the federal government, and this is for insider trading, okay? Now, it's just, like I said, it's just the beginning of the lawsuit. Nothing's been proven yet, but thus far, what they're saying is that they got Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley to waive their restrictions so the executives could sell off or dump off their stocks while the stocks were still at $12 a share. Now, by the time that the normal restriction was waived to where the employees could dump as well, it was down to 6. And as of this recording, it's down around 3. Now, that's very obviously insider trading. You can't use that inside information, and especially getting them to waive those restrictions to dump off your stocks because you know when your quarterly numbers come out, it's absolutely going to tank. So that's a huge deal. And at this point, they're saying that CEO Pincus and the executives cashed in over $500 million in stock up at that $12 per share value. So they're in some big trouble. Pretty much everybody in the gaming industry has something to say about this. Companies big and small. They screwed up big time, and this is not going to end well for them. All right, moving on to some good news. Now, Visceral is working on a new game. Now, Visceral are the people behind Dead Space, one of my absolute favorite franchises. And this new game is going to feature the Frostbite 2 engine, which if you've played Battlefield 3 or the newest Need for Speed The Run, it's gorgeous. It's fantastic. A great physics engine, does weather really well. It's fantastic. You know what this game is? Funny thing, you've heard of this franchise. It's the new Army of Two, called Army of Two: The Devil's Cartel. So it sounds like what is potentially a pretty good franchise that kind of slipped up when it went into its second one is getting much better hands and an amazing engine. So very much looking forward to whenever that one finally comes around for some good co-op gameplay fun. Some just straight, I'll just call this news. It's a little good, little bad. Star Wars: The Old Republic, BioWare's MMO, is going free to play sometime this fall. Now, why do I say this is sort of not good, not bad, a little bit of both? Well, if you're a gamer, obviously it's good news. If you've been wanting to try The Old Republic, but you don't want to pay a subscription fee, you're going to get your chance very soon. You can get all the way up to level 50 in the free-to-play mode. Now, why I say this is also sort of bad news is because, well, for BioWare, it's sort of waving the white flag. They've tried the subscription thing. It's dropped and dropped. And I think it's just proven the point. If you couldn't do it with BioWare and Star Wars, nobody can do it. Outside of World of Warcraft, the subscription-based MMO just doesn't work anymore. And, they've had lots and lots of layoffs. It's just not worked out the way that they hoped or thought it possibly would. So, like I said, it's kind of balanced. We get to play it for free with, the freemium content kind of stuff, but BioWare, that's tough. Now, hopefully, this free-to-play model will allow them to make more money off of it. I mean, free-to-play has proven itself as a good model, a money-making model for MMOs in the past. So we're going to finish up with just some bad news. And this one really gets to me personally here. Batman writer Paul Dini will no longer be working on the Batman games. Now, he wrote Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and they were fantastic. He's also the mad genius behind Batman the Animated Series, the one from back in the 90s, and he's done some comic book work, mostly on Batman. And he has said he will not be writing Rocksteady's next Batman game and that he's done writing those Batman games. So that's just, I mean, there's a lot of great writers out there, but Paul Dini is like probably the best Batman writer of all time. I know that would be an arguable point, but he's right up there. So it is sad to see him moving on from those just fantastic Batman games, but here's hoping they can still be good without him. Well, that does it for the news. Let's get into one of my signature controller confessionals. So this controller confessional, I'm going to talk about the Ouya. I really don't know how they want us to pronounce that, right? I'm sure you've heard of it by now. They've got a Kickstarter going that they've raised over $6 million for this console that's coming out that they say is the size of a Rubik's Cube. And it's going to be running Android and it's going to be completely open source. So they're way beyond what they wanted. They were trying to raise $5 million. They've way surpassed that. Just massive amounts of money for this completely open source little console. Now, I want to talk a little bit about maybe some misconceptions about what this is, what it isn't, some questions and expectations. So, first off, what it is not. This is not a AAA high-end gaming console. You're not going to see those big, high-budget, high-dollar games coming to the Ouya, okay? Partly because it doesn't have the horsepower, and because they're requiring every game to have at least some free-to-play element, whether that's a demo or something else. Between it can't run them, and I'm not sure a lot of those big-budget titles are going to want to do something like that, I don't see that happening. This is also not the next generation of consoles, okay? It has a Tegra 3 processor. That's the same thing that a Google Nexus 7 has in it. This is not some big, massive GPU by any means. It's not advancing the technology forward, okay? That's just not the route it's going. It's also not, at least at this point, an all-in-one sort of living room entertainment kind of thing. You know, that's what, you know, the PS3 and the 360 are really trying to be. You get Netflix and music and every kind of entertainment form you could ask for is all in that console. Now, they have gotten Vivo to say they're going to put their music videos on the console. But at this point, it's not really turning into that per se. Now, what this is, it is an open, completely open, friendly market for indie developers, even for hardware. They've said they're totally fine with just individuals creating new hardware for the console. And of course, they really want to open their doors to the indie market, who, I mean, they absolutely struggle on other consoles. The environments on the 360 and the PS3 are not friendly toward independent developers. So that's what the Ouya is trying to do. It's also an option for OnLive, which really makes me wonder what's the point of the actual dedicated OnLive console that also costs $100 and doesn't have Wi-Fi. So, but yes, OnLive has said they are going to have their service on the Ouya. Demos for everything. Like they said, every game, if you put it on there, you have to have some free-to-play element, whether it's a subscription, you know, free-to-play and then subscription service, or free-to-play with freemium content, or just a demo, something to that effect. But there has to be a free-to-play element. Anything that's developed on there, you should get to play without paying a penny, other than, well, of course, owning the console to begin with. And finally, now this is how I see it. Not a lot of people have said this. What they're doing is they're going to bring what's great about tablet and mobile and PC gaming to your television. Okay, you get a lot of these independent developers on PC and tablets and cell phones and things. And it's a lot of casual games, but sometimes it's not so casual games. But there's just, I mean, so many hundreds and probably thousands of games that don't cost very much that are made by, you know, guys in their basements or tiny little companies of like 3 or 4 guys who are just great at code and art and make these awesome little games, but it's hard to get them out there other than PC or mobile. How do you get them on someone's TV? That's the bridge that the Ouya is trying to cover. I'm lost my metaphor there for a second. Moving on. So some questions that I personally still have about the Ouya. Will this do anything to help with OnLive's graphics and lag issues? If you've played OnLive at all, that's always there. This isn't going to compare. You know, OnLive never compares to actually having the game on your console. And there are lag issues with controls, which definitely shows up in games like, you know, Batman, where you're in the action, you need to time what you're doing. It's really difficult. The other big question is, will these indie games really thrive with OnLive on the same console? I mean, you've got Batman, you've got Saints Row, you've got some of these marquee titles you can stream from the cloud. So why would people want to go and play some cheap indie games they've never heard of when there's those marquee titles there? I think it may cannibalize what they're trying to do a little bit. Nevertheless, I think that the key takeaway here is this is not the console apocalypse like some people are sort of hyping it to be, that it's going to be a huge game changer. It's going to make the current console obsolete. Matter of fact, I don't think it's that way at all. What I think it's doing is it's filling this niche void that lies somewhere in the midst of consoles and PCs and tablets and mobile devices. It's somewhere in all of that, somehow bringing what's great about all of those individual things into one tiny, cheap console that anybody can develop on. You buy the console, you get the developer's kit, period. And they've even said, you want to know how to take it apart and what it's made of? We'll tell you. We want you to make things for it. We want you to mod it. We want you to have fun with it. That's part of why it's so cheap. But there are a handful of days left on the Kickstarter. You can get yourself, of course, pre-order it, or you can actually pay like $99, which is the cost of the console, and get one. Pay a little more, you get a limited edition console that will only come out to the Kickstarter people. So some pretty cool stuff. A little bit of time to get in on that. And so this thing is definitely happening. It's going to be really cool. But I just want to talk a lot about exactly where it's going to fit in, or where I foresee it fitting in. That does it for my controller confessional. Going to finish up with one of my favorites. It's a hardware fetish. The last segment for this week's video, well, this day's video, I've got another review coming at you. My friends at Razer sent me another awesome product. I know you all really enjoyed when I reviewed the Taipan and did a giveaway, got a lot of new subscribers, and gave that bad boy away. Well, I've got something new for you. This is the new Razer Naga. Now, the Naga's been around for a little while. It's their MMO-focused mouse. But this one in particular is the new 2012 model. And they've got some changes to it. Yes, I've opened it up and played with it. Looks pretty nice, right? And then I put it all back in its package. And there's a reason for that. But I'll get to it in a moment. So, what have they updated? Now, first off, the texture. It's still a hard texture, but it's got this sort of rubberized feel to it, so it helps you get your grip on there. They also introduce some changeable finger rests that are over on this side that help you get different grip depending on your size of hand. I tell you what, that made it very comfortable. They also changed to green lighting from blue, what they had before. And finally, the back forward button, instead of being in this weird place just to the left of the left click, is now directly underneath the scroll wheel, which is much more common and a lot more comfortable because I'm more used to that. So let's talk about what's really good about this mouse. Now, it's got Teflon on the bottom, so it makes it super fast when you need it to be super fast. It's got a little toggle switch on the bottom that allows you to switch between normal and number key, whether it's which one the 12 keys on the side are using. You see there, it's got 12 keys that you can customize. Of course, the whole point there would be it's an MMO. They've always had that because you've got all these abilities that are hotkeyed, so now you can use them there and free up one of your hands for movement. Now, of course, it's Razer, so it's crazy responsive. They've got a real nice DPI. Not the highest, it's not like the Taipan, which is made for esports, but you don't need super, super high DPI and movement for an MMO. Also new to this is Synapse 2.0. Now, this is their new software that allows you to customize everything. You can record macros, you can do whatever you want. But here's the really cool thing. You have a Razer account, you save it in Synapse, it goes up into the cloud there. So you can go somewhere else, download the software, log in, and you can pull down your settings, however customized they are, back to any other computer connected to the web. So that's really a pretty cool feature they've added in there. Now, I'll tell you what, the grip on this, I use a Rat 7 all the time. And I think it's just crazy comfortable. It looks weird, but I love it. This, to me, with the right finger grip thing, was as comfortable. I really liked the feel of this new 2012 Razer Naga. I've used the Naga before, and I thought, this is okay. It's not the greatest. But I tell you, with those interchangeable finger grip things, it just makes a world of difference. However big, small your hand is, however you like to grip your mouse, they've got something to help you feel comfortable using this mouse. Now, of course, it's got the 12 buttons that the Naga is known for. Now, personally for me, 7 through 12 is a little hard to use. It's kind of back a little ways, but for 1 through 6, it's fantastic. And that still does most of the job for freeing up my hand in movement in a game. I also was able to use this pretty effectively playing Dota 2, which has a lot less hotkeys, but I was able to put them all right here on the mouse and could practically just play Dota 2 one-handed. Not as well as with both hands, but I could still do it. And I tell you what, it makes it a game changer. If you've never used the Naga before, it is a little difficult to get used to having all those buttons on one mouse and not having to do all your hotkeys over here. I mean, most people, you've got like 6 abilities that are your most common hotkeys. So this frees you up once you get used to it to put your most common ones over on your mouse, have your WSAD for movement, and then you're still just moving your left hand to get some of the other abilities you don't use as frequently, but still enough to use a hotkey for. And if you're an old Naga user, I tell you what, it's more comfortable, it's got a better grip, it's an all-around better mouse. I highly recommend you go and upgrade. So my final score for the new 2012 version of the Razer Naga mouse, MMO mouse, is an A. Flat out an A. It's a great mouse, and it's green. And also, look, you can see it because the magic of me not being in front of a green screen. Pretty amazing, right? And of course, see, what did I do last time that you all liked so much when I did a mouse review? That's right. I'm giving this bad boy away. I really like this mouse, but you know what? I love you all more. So here's the thing. You're going to subscribe to this channel and comment on this video right here. And once we hit 3,000 subscribers, I know we're pretty close to that already anyway, I'm giving this bad boy away to one randomly chosen subscriber. Now, this cannot be the winner of the Razer Taipan. Other than that, there's going to be 2,999 more subscribers that can win this thing. It's awesome. $80 value. It's good times. Subscribe. Comment. Win a mouse. We'll see you next time.